Welcome, everybody. Greetings this wonderful hump day of Easter week 2020, April 8th. Welcome to a new edition of my New World Prophecies broadcasts. I hadn't planned on doing this today. I had sort of had this in the back of my mind for a while. But I was guided, I was guided to things, as we are often, that just said to me, we need to talk about this or put it out there. So welcome. And I hope you hang around to the end of the broadcast, because there is always something special coming on. The angels always have plans for us when they have me do these things. Not only that, as I am speaking, you are receiving encodings that are helping open you up in the right brain areas and helping you move into fuller connection with right brain to make you more balanced. And at least for a while, maybe even more right brain oriented, to get you away from dependence on left brain processes. This is why you don't see me writing a lot of things anymore. I used to write all the time, but I've been kind of guided away from writing things as much, because my team is telling me and guiding me to help all of you move away from depending on that information. So, excuse me, Raphael, heal this and remove whatever is sponsoring this. This is not acceptable here today. Michael, remove this into the vortex of divine source, if that's where it belongs. Thank you. All right. So words, the written word, tends to be a more purely mental activity. Reading. Now, do we get the right brain involved? Sure. But first thing, it comes into the left brain, right? Comes into our eyes and is first processed through the left brain, where then the right brain comes into play to interpret some of the finer points and bring our imagination into play in that case. However, when we are listening to things, right, sound, whether it is spoken word sound, whether it is music sound, activates our right brain first, comes in through there and is interpreted there and processed, and then sent over to the left brain for the understanding and bringing it into awareness. So that's why you will not see me doing a lot of writing anymore. It's why I haven't written a book. I could write a book that totally transforms the way everybody sees and deals with the human energy field. But I'm not doing that. I could, but my team has said, nah, there's a time for that. Maybe it'll be a video book, who knows? So anyway, coming back to our New Earth prophecies. As I was eating lunch today, I caught the tail end of Greg Prescott's in 5D spirit chat that he does live streaming periodically. He had one today, and he does it live streaming through Zoom to YouTube. So I was watching that, and apparently there was some discussion about how certain things were going to be handled moving forward. You know, like after all of these, the pedophiles and all of these, the corrupt people and have been arrested, and how all of these things are going to be processed, and what we're going to do with this, and how we're going to handle these things going forward. And it was an interesting discussion, but while I was listening, the vision came to me as I was watching it. And I'll share this in a minute, but before I share the vision that came to me, I need to help you understand that when we have prophetic visions, we aren't having them from the place of here looking there. We are having them from the place of being over there and looking back. Because when we are in that space, we can see the progression, at least I can, of all that's coming into pass, of the whole deal, from the place where I am, from where we begin to where I am in the future, looking at things. And it was very interesting, the image that I got. And so the first, you know, so to just tell you the image that I got the image of this, you know, what the northern lights, the aurora borealis looks like, the shimmering curtain of multicolored light coming in, swirling and coming down and swirling, and, you know, all of that. Okay, beautiful. I got a vision something like that, only it was more like a curtain or a zone of this beautiful undulating streams of shimmering curtains of light. And it wasn't a curtain, right? It wasn't just a boundary, it was a field. It was a place that we are traveling through now. And what I'm going to say is that pretty much everybody was talking from the space of now, hung up still for the most part on 3D ways of doing things and 3D possibilities. And as I have been trying to impart to people for a while, that's no longer valid. That stuff just doesn't exist anymore. It won't work anymore. We're in a total new ballgame. We are coming into the time of the Christed consciousness, where love, divine love, not heart ego love, not resonant love, but divine love is the ruling law of existence for us. That's the thing that we judge everything against, that we discern through. Is this aligned with divine love or is it not? It's not good or bad. Is it aligned? Is it not aligned? Is how we're going to be looking at things. But we're not there yet. And that's where this field of light, and I call this our metamorphic field, hyphenated, metamorphic field, because our personal and our collective morphic field, right? This is the field that is connected to the collective unconscious and the collective conscious, that holds the information, the primary information and modes of doing things, our operating system. Or we have a new OS that we're being infused with that supports the Christed consciousness. But this is the metamorphic field is more like the data that comes in and is used by this operating system to determine how we do things, how we react, how we respond, you know, what our primary driving energies and emotions and forces are as we move through our lives in the physical plane. And the thing that came to me as I was setting up this Zoom session was not only is this, you know, we're moving through this field of light, and as we traverse the distance from one end to the other, right? We came in at 3D, January 10th to 14th, we were fully transplanted from 3D, boom, into 5D on 5D Earth. However, is, and this is, and I love the synchronicities that are here in play, because my team showed me that at that point, remember, that was right about when the coronavirus came into awareness, into the news, into, oh my God, this is a thing. And China was quarantining most of its country. And so we had, you know, we had that come into play at that same time. Well, why is that? There wasn't an accident that that's happening. As above, so below, right? We had just been transplanted onto 5D Earth. But we brought with us still a whole lot of baggage and garbage that had to be cleared out. A lot of people who were, you know, whose soul said, this is where you're going, but whose ego and subconscious makeups had, you know, hadn't caught up with that yet. There still are. So we were also put into this spiritual quarantine. Think of it as going into, you know, if you go into a lab and you're working with things, you know, that you need to be cleansed, right? What do? You come in one end and you get undressed and you take showers and you get cleaned off and scrubbed up. And then, you know, before you get out the other end, you put on a totally new suit. And so that's the analogy of what's going on with us now. We are in a spiritual quarantine time. But in this spiritual quarantine, we are being both cleansed and sterilized of the old stuff that we still brought with us here, that we don't want here, doesn't belong here, isn't going to be. It's just like going. And at the same time, we are also being infused, and with the Christed consciousness and the divine love energies and programs, our souls and our hearts are being opened so that we are in full connection with the divine. Any of us that don't have pure divine connections, that's being cleared. Right? And if you sit for a minute, there are a bunch of people right now, as you're listening to me, who do not have clear divine connections. They are either blocked or hijacked by the false light still. So we're correcting that now. Your teams are doing that now. Just sit with your eyes closed and focus on your crown of your head. Maybe even further up. Let's focus on your soul star chakra. You see, your teams, your guardian teams, always know who's going to be listening to these things because they're guiding you. I have a connection with the guardian angels, everybody's guardian angels. I have permission and ability to work with them and call upon them for things because I myself am a guardian angel of sorts. All right. I work with Michael. I work in that capacity in many respects. So everybody who needs to be here to listen to this, to understand what it is that I'm saying, and to come into peace with this, is being guided by their guardian teams and higher selves to this broadcast and to listen to what's being said. So here we are in this quarantine zone of divine light shimmering through. We're bombarded from it, not only from above, but from below, right? It's coming in through us. As we walk through, we're being cleansed. The light is being sent through us and down into New Earth, Gaia. And actually that was, the light workers and star seeds, mostly star seeds, have been doing that for a couple of months now. Not quite 2 months, but since the crossover in January, we have been used as channels to program the new earth and to clear out the old garbage that was still here, so that we could put in the light, spread the programming down into the new earth. And then as everybody, came into awareness, or just everybody got here and started to get cleansed, right? The sterilization and the clearing is taking place and progressing. And at the same time, all of this information, all of this divine light and love, all of this program is being brought up through the Gaia matrix, because the Gaia matrix is what enforces our physical presence. It builds it. The divine, comes down, has the program, the architecture, the matrix, the patterns, the engineering from the etheric plane, all of that template comes from the divine and comes down in. And then Gaia's energies, earth energies, come up to us and fill that in, so that we are, then brought into the physicality, right? So I can see you, we are physical, we can taste things, we can feel things, we can smell things, right? We come into physicality, and that is sponsored by, created by, and maintained through the Gaia energies. And so we're all connected to it. We couldn't be physical if we weren't. So while there are many people coming over who have blocks to receiving divinely, or there are many of them, believe it or not, who are atheists, who don't believe in God or have other ideas of what God is or divine is, whatever they are, they aren't, receiving all of this very clearly. They're not open to receiving and opening their souls and their hearts through these direct pathways. But everybody is receiving through the Gaia matrix. So the divine teams are using the back door, come up from below, and our roots, right? We've got energy roots into the planet, and using that back door to bring these things up into us, so that nobody escapes this. Everybody gets opened and awakened, whose soul contract has called them to be here now and for this. So that's why we are seeing what we're seeing at ground level. This quarantine is just a reflection of what is being done on a spiritual level. We are all in quarantine as we let all of the old belief systems of 3D, all the ways of doing things, all of the thought processes, all of the limitations, all of the things that are not of love, be released, drained away, and cleansed from us so that we can open up to new awarenesses of new ways to do things. And we're not there yet. So conversations about how things are going to be, how we're going to deal with this, how we're going to deal with that, what are we going to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, really have to be done from the place of looking back, from look at that place where we're getting to, which is being in the Christed consciousness and seeing things from that perspective. In one of the things that, you know, Greg Prescott was saying on his broadcast, he was talking about, you know, everybody shutting off TV and getting rid of the negative stuff and stop watching violent things, you know, find things to do that are peaceful, loving, you know, don't support violence, negativity, anger, fear, any of those things, you know, shut yourself off from that. And he's absolutely right. We need to do that to the best degree possible. However, we cannot put ourselves in a total little bubble and be totally ignorant of what's going on in the world. So we do have to stay somewhat connected to what's going on around us, because that's part of our awakening. So that we can now look at things that are happening, that have been happening for a long time, but we can now look at them with new eyes. And those new eyes are seeing things that we're not happy with at all. For an example, is we have the fact that we're in our homes for the last 3 weeks, going on 4, to quarantine and keep ourselves distanced from this virus in the best way that we can and still function. We have been in our homes doing this upon projections that we now are seeing were totally, absolutely false, overblown. The CDC's new projection as of this morning of total coronavirus deaths in this country is now down to 60,000. It started out at 2 million based on faulty forecasts and data. And that 60,000 is including what we now know to be anybody who died from any mitigating issue or condition that just happened to be tested positive for coronavirus. So you may have no coronavirus symptoms whatsoever, die of a heart attack, but because you test positive, they're going to say you're a coronavirus death. Okay, so that ups the figures even more. So we're starting to wake up to these kind of things. And so we're also waking up to how we're being manipulated, right? We're seeing that the media is lying to us about all this stuff, and they continue to push false narratives that we know are false and that they know are false. If they don't know they're false, they are drinking somebody else's Kool-Aid big time before they come and they sit in the daily briefings. They know that they're false. And so, you know, they keep pushing this garbage at us and giving us, you know, and then we have, you know, like Governor Cuomo, he's only one of them, you know, who first he has stuff, first he's like crying that he needs stuff, then, oh, well, yeah, you ship me stuff. You know, Trump says, well, why don't you look for the stuff we already shipped you? And lo and behold, well, wow, we got them but no, we don't want to use them yet. No, we haven't got enough. We're going to order for more, but they're taking too long. And you know, one minute everybody's in a panic, and we've got a ship outside of New York and a ship outside of Los Angeles that are seeing next to nobody coming on them. And then we have governors who have decided that they are going to hijack the hydroxychloroquine medications, right? Got one out in Nevada who stockpiled, who just said, no, I'm taking this all, and he stockpiled it. He warehoused it. He said, no, you can't have it. I got it all here. Nobody can use it. What the heck is that all about? Then we have, the calls for ballot harvesting, and everybody will mail in because and this is November, right? We're talking about 7 months from now. This will all be a done deal long before that. And I'm telling you that with certainty now, right? My team is saying, yeah, no problem. But they're still going to push for mail-in ballots, right? So what happens when we have mail-in ballots? Oh, it's amazing how many of those disappear. And as the people who open these ballots see, whatever their party preference is, oh, well, we're not going to count that one. That's quietly going to just sort of go away. We're not going to do that. Or they get lost, or, whatever. And, or we get mail-in ballots and the ballot harvesting, right? They go to collect from people and they say, well, you got to vote this, 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 and this, And so, it is such a prescription for voter fraud. It's not even funny. So we have that going on too. So people are starting to see this. They're starting to wake up to, wait a minute. But at the same time, so what now, and the fear keeps being peddled, and everybody is trying, they're trying their damnedest. The cabal is, and the dark forces are trying their damnedest to keep everybody in a state of panic and fear. And the media and the politicians that are doing this should be so ashamed of themselves, it's not even funny, because it's gotten to the point where this morning I read where a couple in Illinois did a murder-suicide when they found out they had contracted the coronavirus. That is how out of control the media and the fear-mongering has been about this. Let that sink in for a minute. 2 people off themselves because they came positive for the virus. The magnitude of that just makes my heart hurt. My God. And if you hadn't heard about that, boy, go look it up. I'm not making things up. This is real. People are doing this kind of stuff. It's out of control. But the good thing is that we now have eyes that we're seeing things with, because we're in this field being washed with all of this light of love and truth, and all of the crap is being washed away from us. It's like we've been stuck in a bog for years, and we're coming up and out, and we're being cleansed of all the crap that's being stuck to us. So we can't enter fully into the New Earth 5D plus realm as active citizens of it until we have finished our metamorphic field journey of this cleansing and reprogramming, and the resetting and upgrading of our systems, and our eyes are open to new ways of doing things and seeing things differently. And when Greg Prescott was talking about stop the looking at watching violent movies and things, well, I had somebody bring up to me, oh, we need to do this and need to do that and need to do the other thing a while back, and we just need to get rid of all of this. And I said, well, wait a minute. And usually it's everybody else that has to do stuff, right? We're all guilty of that. There's that cartoon about the politician says, who wants change? And everybody goes, yeah, I want change. Okay. And then he says, okay, how many of you are willing to change? Everybody just sort of skulks. That's kind of what it is. But at the time, right now, we aren't being given a choice. Change is here, peeps. And we are having to go through with it, like it or not. Kicking and screaming you may be because you have resisted up to this point, but you will move through this. Out the other side. Some of us are moving through it faster than others. You may be just trudging along and slogging along, but you're going to get there. But think about how massive a change that we have coming. If we look at eradicating violence from our lives, it isn't just violent movies, peeps. It is our music. It is our books. It is our own belief sets on how to deal with things. It is sports, most professional sports. Think of the violence that goes on there. Football is one of the most violent sports out there. You know, you have kickboxing and wrestling, you know, like WrestleMania and you know, and regular boxing and things like that. Massively violent. Are we ready to give all of that up yet? Well, we only just do amusement. No, it isn't just amusement. You know, video games. Anything that's based on people harming other people, fighting, solving problems by violent means or underhanded means, whether that violence is verbal or physical, or whether it's hidden behind the scenes, you know, like a shot, right? Or poison or whatever it is, that's still violence. Think for a while, take that in and think about that. Be looking, you know, go down next time you do watch TV, and even our news, right? Our news, if it isn't violence and if it isn't bad, it's not news, right? We've been talking about that for a long time. Shut it down. But when you do get into where you're trying to search these things out and become aware, please make, you know, protect yourself. Ask Michael to place a shield of protection around you to keep you from absorbing this stuff into your system as you aware. Seek, you know, to watch these things from a place of objective observation, detached observation, where you can sit back and say, oh, this is what's going on in the world, without getting emotionally sucked into it. Because that's the whole purpose of all of that negativity, is to get us emotionally sucked in. Fear controls. Love breaks free. Fear is control. Love is freedom. And what do we want? We want freedom, right? So anytime you got fear, you know that you're being controlled. So you can just wrap that fear in a beautiful cocoon of divine golden light. Whatever it is, fear, anger, negative emotion, whatever it is. And you don't have to sit and process it and figure out what am I going to do with it or zoom. Get into a place of awareness where you're just wrapping that negative emotional response in a cocoon of divine golden light. And then you're just releasing it to be healed. Ooh, there are a lot of you that just did that. And your guardian teams and your higher selves are going to help increase your awareness of those times and help you to remember to use that golden cocoon to wrap those things up and send them away to be healed. And if it comes back and you find the same, do it again. Sometimes our ego minds and subconscious need a little bit more reminding, right? They need to be broken of the habits. So there is a lot more going on here with our metamorphic field experience, that it is not just our bodies and our energy fields that are changing, it is our entire way of being that is changing. And while we have to live in the now and deal with the things that are in the now with the best ways that we have, let's understand that we can't forecast into the future ways to deal with things that are based on what's going on in the now, because they're two separate things. Whatever was working here in 3D ain't going to work on the other side of this morphic field, metamorphic field. Once we come through this place of cleansing and we've got our new suits, the old stuff's not going to work. It hasn't entered in with us anymore, and we're seeing things from a totally different perspective. When it comes to things like prisoners and criminals that have done things, and how do we deal with that and all, we deal with it from a place of divine love, and we won't know what that is until we get there. A lot of those people are not coming with us. They didn't cross over with us. And although we may be able to see them and see what's going on and access this and that and the other thing, they're just not going to be part of where we're going and how we're working and operating in this new world. And so that you know, there were a lot of people that were thinking that, oh my God, new world, paradise, everything's wonderful. We're just going to be transported to new world and have 1,000 years of peace and everything's going to be love. No. New world is a carbon copy of the 3D world. Carbon copy, warts and all, at a higher vibration. We made the mess and we've got to clean it up. But, we're getting a lot of help to clean it up. As we come into this Christed consciousness, the way of divine love, we start seeing things from a different perspective. We have access to different tools and different abilities. And I'm talking about our divine creative power here is going to change the game big time. Because there are things that can be accomplished alchemically on the new earth as we get together in groups, like the amazing meditation that was done on the 444 day, that some reports said were 1 billion people participated in that in different venues, because there were a lot of different people that were hosting that meditation. When we get together in single purpose, right? In a single focus for a single reason and for a single purpose, it's amazing what we can accomplish. And alchemically, if we set our sights on doing those kind of things, literally, we can clean up the oceans. We can neutralize all the radioactivity from the Japanese nuclear place after the tsunami. I'm getting a blank in here. I'm thinking Hiroshima, but that's not it. But we could do that. We can neutralize those radioactive energies, right? We can cleanse ecological disasters. We can transform, transmute garbage dumps. Think of that. Because in the alchemical realms of causation and the etheric realms, we are working with the matrix itself, right? We are manipulating the matrix, and we can do these things. Think about that as a mind-blowing game changer. We don't have to do it individually. We don't have to depend on all of this physical stuff and mental stuff anymore. When we move into the right brain arena, all of these doors open up that allow us to see things differently. That's where we're headed. All right. I've been doing this for a while, and it's amazing You know, I teach alchemy to other people so that they learn how to use the gifts that we already have been given. That's where we're headed as a human race. You know, we get to clean up this mess. And we also, you know, that we have free will. So nobody can reprogram our minds. But we have a contract that says that we're going to clear out all of this stuff, all of the falsehoods, all of the things that we believe that really had no basis in truth, metaphysical truth anyway, and had no basis in love, right? If it's not of love, it's just being cleansed, washed away, dissolved, unmanifest, erased, you name it. So at the same time, I said this at the end of the card reading, but I'm getting the message to tell you, be gentle with yourself, right? And be gentle with others, because everybody else is dealing with this same thing. At the same time that we're all in this confined space, limitations in, you know, abound here for us, but that's the space we need to move through this metamorphic field. Now, are we going to be through the other side when the quarantine's over? No. The spiritual quarantine is going to last a lot longer. It depends on how long it takes us to get to the other side, to get to that state of being. We're out the other side of it. And as I said before, some of us are moving through it faster than others. But your life will be a lot easier if you open to the ministrations of your guardian teams, your higher self, and all the other billions of angels who've been assigned to this for this planet. So I just want to take on, I'm being guided right now to have you close your eyes. And I am going to ask your angel teams to give you all of the help that they see that you need and can use to assist you in moving through this process with the greatest of grace and ease, to releasing all that needs to be released, to allowing and integrating all that is being brought, that is new and of love, and is necessary for us to move forward into and through this metamorphic field and out the other side. I'm asking this in the name of everyone who ever watches this, and in all of you, and for all of humanity, and for all here, and for all the higher selves who have popped in to be part of this, because I can feel there are just millions of higher selves present right now. I mean, they're just everywhere. I just ask you, for those of you who are in the physical, to just raise your hand and say, yes, I accept this, right? I accept this help, absolutely. And I agree to just allow my spirit teams to lead me and the divine teams to lead me in this. That's all you have to do is raise your hand and say, I agree. Very good. There are some of you who are not so sure about this, who aren't quite ready to agree. Anytime that you get to a point where things are kind of not going a little bit rougher than you would like, all you have to do is put your hand up and say, okay, I agree to receiving all the divine help that will bring me through this with flying colors. That's all you have to do. I agree. Just sit down, close your eyes, center, and say, okay, I surrender and agree. Bring me the help. And your guardian teams know who you are, and they'll be ready for you. They know what this means when you say, I surrender and agree. You don't even have to go any further than that. Short and sweet, very simple. I surrender and agree. You know, take me forward, carry me. And so it is, and so it shall be. See how powerful that was? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Very powerful. Awesome. And the more people who do this, and the more of you who share this video with people so that they can come into the same place of understanding and accept this agreement, and the more this spreads, the faster we all get to the other side and we can start building what we desire, where it can come into fruition as our soul contracts for eons, right? We have, this is not just, this is humanity's soul contract, can come into being. And we can celebrate. I mean, we should already be celebrating, right? Everything is just amazing. The fact that we're here now, watching this, participating in this, driving it forward, holding the light and the love is absolutely astounding to me every day. Boggles my mind. Just my heart can't hold it, right? It's just like, wow. You know, there just aren't enough words, and you all know what I'm talking about, because there aren't. We are joined together in light and love and purpose, boy. And we are, you know, it's like we've got arms locked and we're moving forward in lockstep, and we're not letting anything push us back and nothing to break the ranks. Staying together in lockstep, moving forward, helping each other, keeping the pressure on. We don't care what all of these negative forces throw at us. It's like, no, we see you and we see what you're doing, and no, not having it. Next step, and the next step. Keep going. We can do this. That's what we are here for. Do you think that God would have brought us through all of this that we have been through? Oh my God, the decades of crap and struggle we've been through, both individually and as a race planetarily, to just cut out at the last minute and say, oh, sorry. No, it's happening. Just bear with it and know that it's coming, because I know when we see, you know, it's easy to just sort of plod along, you know, I don't want to say easy, right? We've been through a lot, but we keep going, understanding that this is a process that takes a while. But we get to the place where we're starting, you know, beginning to see that there is an end point, that it's coming, that we're at the finish line, is not that far ahead. We may not be able to see it yet, but we can feel it. We know that it's there, right? Then it becomes tougher. It's kind of like the same, you know, what it compares to right now. The feeling is when, you know, you have to go to the bathroom, and between the time you decide that, yeah, you probably ought to, you know, it's time for you to go ahead and take a trip to the bathroom, between that time and the minute you step into the bathroom, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I gotta go. The anticipation just gets so badly that your body says, it's time, we gotta do this. Well, you know, it's kind of the same reaction we're having now. We need to just say, okay, look, we know it's coming, and our excitement is palpable and it's wonderful. Take a breath and resist the temptation to get discouraged, disgusted, or depressed because it isn't happening at your speed, right? If it isn't happening at your speed, that's another sign that you have work to do, because you haven't developed the patience. You got ego and subconscious that are still operating, setting a timetable for you. So, you know, wrap that in some golden light and send that off to be healed and released, right? Ooh. Yep. A lot of people. Yep. 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 We're all there. I got it too. Wow. Awesome. Ooh, I'm tingling. So that's basically the message I came here to give you. That was the prophecy, the vision that I saw it from that end, and to explain what I was seeing, and just to let you know that the game is changing, the rules are changing, and it isn't just the rules that are changing, but the philosophies and the beliefs that the rules are based on are totally changing, blowing up. It is not power and control. It is love, grace, assistance, healing, all of those things, right, are going to come into the new model. So we've got to be willing to let go of the old model. Remember, I spoke to you about all of the things that we have in our culture now that are based on violence or anger or control and overpowering and bullying, that we have to let go of. Some of them may be dear to our heart. You know, we like our football games. Well, unless we change the game drastically, that may have to go. Think about that. And think about why we love the game. What is it about the game, right? Right? Yeah, you know, that's part of the problem. We need to let go of that. If the, you know, if that divine masculine still needs that, right? Go chop wood, go to the gym and, you know, punch a punching bag if you need to let go of that, whatever, you know, just run, find different outlets for that, that are productive outlets and not destructive outlets. That's the shift. Okay, we don't want to destroy things, we want to build things for positive, productive possibilities. Be looking in, you know, the positive way of things. So, all right, I'll get off my soapbox. And I do thank Greg Prescott for hosting his occasional, I don't even know how often they are, I just happened to catch it today. And it is a in 5D call that he does through Zoom and streams to YouTube. So my blessings to everybody here. I hope that you have received this message well and receive it consciously, right? Because, you know, you have received it, you just may not know about it yet. And blessings to you. Everything comes in your own good time and God's time and order. So trust, trust, trust. If I was going to tell you anything about what's going on now, it's just keep moving forward. Do what's in front of you to do. Don't be looking for anything else to do or take care of or somebody else's stuff. Take care of what's in front of you to do, and trust that everything's going on exactly according to plan, the way it needs to be. And you're playing your part by doing your thing. Love to you all. Blessings. See you again soon. Bye-bye.